Hello students, welcome to Epitome IAS. In this today's session, we are going to discuss about one of the question asked in the General Studies paper 2 mains. So the question is, explain the constitutional perspectives of gender justice with the help of relevant constitutional provisions and case laws. Okay, right. So it appears to be very easy question, but we need to understand how to structure the answer. Okay, what should be written in the introduction, what must be there in the body, and what must be there in the conclusion. Okay, right. First of all, what should be the introduction here? Constitutional perspective of gender justice. Okay, we can say Indian Constitution prioritizes justice particularly gender justice aiming the correction of historical injustice and addressing barriers faced by women and others to establish a just social order. This is how we can begin our answer. Okay, so what we have written: Indian Constitution prioritizes justice, particularly gender justice, aiming at the correction of historical injustice and addressing the barriers faced by women and others in order to establish a just social order. Okay, so this should be your introduction. Then, so the examiner is clearly asking with the help of constitutional provisions and case laws. Okay, right. So we need to explain how the gender justice is mentioned in the Constitution. Okay, right. The gender justice is one of the important objectives of Indian Constitution, which helps in directing the state to provide safeguards, opportunities and rights in the form of laws, policies, schemes, etc. Okay, we can also say and institutions, etc. This is how the gender justice is manifested. Okay, gender justice is one of the important objectives of Indian Constitution, which helps directing the state to provide safeguards, opportunities and rights in the form of laws, policies, schemes and institutions, etc. So this is how you try to bring the justice to the women. Okay, thus justice largely involves two things. One is correction of historical injustice. This is one aspect. Okay. Second one is creation of new opportunities. Creation of new opportunities. So justice entails these two things: correction of historical justice and creation of new opportunities, right? So the constitution provides various provisions to ensure gender justice in the following manner. Okay, this is how we need to write. Okay, so in this we need to mention like preamble. Preamble mentions justice, social, economic and political. Okay. Similarly, Article 14 which provides equal protection of laws. This is one aspect. And Article 15 class 3, special provisions for women and children. Okay. Similarly, Article 25 class 2 subclass B, social reform. Okay. Article 24, Article 23, particularly Article 23 is a prohibition of human trafficking. Okay. Article 15 class, of course 2 indirectly, not directly. Okay, let us ignore this. Okay. Yes, of course, Article 15 class 2 and Article 15 class 1 also. Okay, race, religion, caste, sex and place of birth. Okay, so gender is also part of this. Okay. Similarly, Article 16 class 2, so where sex, that is gender, is one of the grounds where there shall not be discrimination. Okay. And right, similarly Article 38 of the Constitution, social order, establishment of social order, or we can say just social order based on the justice. Okay. Article 39 class A and class D. Okay. 39 class A is about adequate livelihood for both men and women. Article 39 class D is for equal wages for equal work for both men and women. Okay, right. So Article 41, special assistance is possible for widows and some kind of vulnerable sections. Okay. Article 243D and 243T, this is about reservations in the local bodies, right. Article 330A and 332A, so this is about the reservations in the Legislative Assembly and Lok Sabha. Okay, right. So in this way there are various constitutional provisions which provide the scope for justice. Even the gender related protection and safeguards have been provided in the form of, these are provided in the form of fundamental duties. Example, Article 51A class E. Okay, right. So indirectly we can also say Article 51A class H, humanism. So humanism definitely recognizes everybody equal, right. So this is how various constitutional provisions can be found. Okay, right. Then we need to explain, we need to mention some case laws also. Okay, what are the case laws that can be written here, right. These include Shayara Bano versus Union of India, where Supreme Court has abolished triple talaq. triple talaq has been abolished. Okay. Next, Joseph Shine versus Union of India, where Supreme Court has abolished adultery. I mean, criminality associated with adultery. Criminality associated with adultery. Okay. Vishaka versus State of Rajasthan. The guidelines to prevent sexual harassment at workplace. The guidelines related to sexual harassment at workplace. Okay. Next, Gaurav Jain versus Union of India. Okay. In this, the Supreme Court has given directions to recognize the children born to the prostitutes. Right. Right. So in this manner, there are both constitutional provisions and judicial verdicts, case laws with respect to this. And of course, we can also mention another important aspect. Of course, this is under the judicial review. It is going to review again the Supreme Court, that is Young Lawyers Association with Young Lawyers Association versus State of Kerala. State of Kerala. In this, Supreme Court said that the entry of women, that is particularly menstruating women, is permitted into temple, Shabarimala temple. Okay. Right. In this manner, Supreme Court has given lot of progressive verdicts. Even gender means it is not just female gender. Gender means it is also other genders also, like Nalsa versus Union of India. In this, Supreme Court has recognized the third gender. Okay. Similarly, Puttaswamy versus Union of India. This has preserved the sexual intimacies. Sexual intimacy is also part of the privacy, right? And moreover, there is another case, okay, where Supreme Court has invalidated section 377 of IPC. So Supreme Court has permitted the homosexuality. Okay, homosexuality is no more a crime, right? So now we need to write the conclusion, right? So what should be the conclusion? So in the conclusion, we need to write this: the Constitution of India provides various safeguards and rights in the favor of women and implicitly to the third gender, whose scope was further enhanced by Supreme Court in order to give a safe environment for the women to realize their full potential. In order to realize their full potential. Okay, right. So this is enough. Okay, right. So we have written what is the introduction and what should be the body, and now we have written what is the conclusion. Okay, so kindly follow the videos religiously and understand how we build the answers, how we give the reasoning, and how do we connect one part of the question with another part, one part of the answer with another part with the logic and well founded reasoning. Okay, so thank you so much. Let us meet in the next class.